Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Real Time, where we talk about the movies we like.
And the ones we do not.
I'm Tyler.
And I'm Molly.
Well, you've heard us talk about the original and the prequel trilogies for Star Wars. Now we're going to get into the sequels. The movies that Disney made after they bought Lucasfilm back in the early 2010s. And, for where this trilogy ended up, it started at a pretty okay place.
Yeah, I'd say so. The start, at least, was okay.
Yeah, they sure did set up a whole bunch of questions that would never get answered, but we'll get to there. We'll get there when we get there.
Yeah, we'll take it slow.
So this movie was directed by J.J. Abrams, better known at that time for being the director of 2 out of the 3 Star Trek reboot trilogy movies. I say 2 out of 3 because the third one, Star Trek Beyond, hadn't come out yet. So yeah, 2 out of 3.
Okay, I've never really I'm not really a Star Trek fan.
Be a lot cooler if you were.
I know. I'm sorry.
And this movie had no involvement from George Lucas whatsoever. Some may see that as a good thing. Some may see it as a bad thing. It's a thing.
Maybe it's just a neutral thing.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
Alright, so this movie, of course, features the return of Harrison Ford as Han Solo, which is kind of a surprise given how he feels about Star Wars, but guess the fact that they killed him off is, it really appealed to him.
Yeah.
I guess spoiler alerts, but at this point it's a 9-year-old movie, so if you don't know by now you know. Oh well.
Yeah, he probably. Excuse me, I was yawning. He probably, it's probably a good paycheck too. I'd come back too for that.
Oh yeah, there was also this controversy over Harrison Ford getting paid more than John Boyega and Daisy Ridley in this movie. Mm-hmm. Which here's the thing though. Harrison Ford is a much more established actor. At that point he'd been working for over 40 years, and this was John Boyega's and Daisy Ridley's big break. So he made a lot more.
Yeah, that's not surprising. Yeah, like you said, Harrison Ford is an established actor who has been in a lot of movies, and these new characters are, they're new actors. So it makes sense that they didn't get paid more.
Apparently he was paid at max around $20 million.
I'd take that.
I'd take what Boyega and Ridley were given for this movie too, because we are poor. We need money.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I'm sure it was a pretty good paycheck, I would assume.
Yeah, most likely, I would assume.
Yeah, you're looking that up. It's just taking you a while.
Okay, they were being paid into $100,000 to $300,000 range, which, I'd take that. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd still take that, obviously, but.
Anyways, Mark Hamill returns as Luke Skywalker for the final scene, which I take issue with this. I feel like our main Trinity from the original movie should have definitely had more scenes together in this new trilogy, but that became impossible to do once they killed off Han, and unfortunately after Carrie Fisher died, which isn't Disney's fault, so can't really blame them for that. But after that, we can't have them together anymore, which really sucks, because the last time we actually saw all 3 of them together was the very last shot of Return of the Jedi, which, like, I realized that when we were getting to the end of that movie, like, wow, that's the last time we ever see them together, and that really sucks.
Yeah. Yeah, I wish they did have more. Yeah, or an interaction, with all three of them.
Any scenes together.
Yeah, that would be nice.
We see over the course of the trilogy, we see Han and Leia, and we see Leia and Luke, but not Han and Luke.
Yeah, no.
And we don't even see Han and Lando either. He doesn't show up until Rise of Skywalker, which we'll get there when we get there. But you know what I mean?
Yeah. It just seems a little unfair, I guess.
Carrie Fisher returns as Princess Leia, and this would be the last Star Wars movie that would release that she would be in that would release while she was still alive.
Mm-hmm.
Not counting Rogue One, since she did appear in that, but briefly.
Yeah, she did.
Adam Driver plays Kylo Ren, the son of both Han Solo and Princess Leia.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Real name Ben Skywalker, which didn't really make too much sense at the time that they would name their son Ben after, Obi-Wan. But with the added context of the Obi-Wan show, where he went and rescued Leia a few times, it makes more sense that she would think so highly of him to name her son after him.
Yeah, that makes sense. With the context of the show.
Again, though, we're getting into the need for other things to make stuff in the movie make more sense, but it's an old thing at this point. You just get used to it, man.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Daisy Ridley plays Rey, our new Jedi, who turns out. The marketing team did John Boyega, who plays Finn, a real disservice because it all made it seem like he was this ex-stormtrooper who's apparently a Jedi, which would have been a really cool direction to take his character, but unfortunately they didn't do that. We'll get into that after we go through all these people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it did kind of set him up to be the trailers and everything. Yeah, you would see him with the lightsaber, but oh well.
The only place where the marketing didn't lie about John Boyega's involvement were the posters made in China, because they don't really like black people too much over there.
Oh. So I guess he wasn't in them.
Not really, no.
Mm.
But then again, China doesn't really like much of anyone, so it's not just black people they don't like.
Okay.
Oscar Isaac plays Poe Dameron, the ace pilot of the Resistance. Yes, the Resistance this time, not the Rebellion. Big difference, I know.
Yeah, real big difference.
Lupita Nyong'o plays Maz Kanata, a cantina owner who she's kind of mysterious, but she's kind of cool. I like her.
Yeah, she's the one who gives Luke's lightsaber to Rey, and we don't really know how she acquired it.
Yeah, she says when Han asks where she got it, she says, "A good question for another time." We never get that answer.
Yeah, there's a lot of unanswered questions, but that's yeah. Anyway, who's next?
Andy Serkis, the king of motion capture, plays Supreme Leader Snoke. We don't get much from his character in this movie or the next one, but we find out in Rise of Skywalker he was a failed Palpatine clone. I don't care about spoiling Rise of Skywalker. It's crap.
Yeah, I barely even remember Rise of Skywalker. I'll have to watch it again.
Domhnall Gleeson plays General Hux. He's not very interesting either, but at least in this first movie he has more dignity than he gets in the next two movies.
Yeah, he seems more intimidating, I think, in this one.
Anthony Daniels and Kenny Baker return, of course, as C-3PO and R2-D2 respectively. I believe this was Kenny Baker's last Star Wars movie before he died, too.
That's unfortunate. Max
von Sydow makes a cameo as Lor San Tekka, someone who has the last piece of the map to Luke Skywalker. And, okay, how did you get that bit of the map? That's a little weird. I'm sure it got explained in some sort of comic or something, but I don't know. He just appears at one point and just dies later.
Yeah, he doesn't get much screen time.
Well, originally his character was supposed to be Wedge Antilles from the original trilogy. He was the one who was played by Ewan McGregor's uncle, Dennis Lawson.
In the what?
Yeah, Wedge Antilles.
In the original trilogy?
Yeah.
I don't remember that character.
Well, like I said, his character was played by Ewan McGregor's uncle, Dennis Lawson.
Does it look like I know Ewan McGregor's uncle?
Well, dude, we only talked about this in the original trilogy video.
I don't remember.
You don't remember much of anything, do you?
I'm gonna use the I am pregnant card and can't think much. And I'm tired all the time.
Anyways, it was supposed to be his character in that situation, but Dennis Lawson didn't want to do that because he would be immediately killed off with no context for like how he got this info.
Yeah. I don't know how that guy got the map.
I don't know. It doesn't matter. Peter Mayhew returns as Chewbacca, of course, and this would be one of the last times he played Chewbacca because he retired from the role and was replaced by stuntman Junius Suetamo. I hope I said that right. Who will later play Chewie in later Star Wars movies.
Okay.
Gwendolyn Christie plays Captain Phasma, an awfully wasted character. We don't really get a whole lot from her. She's set up to be like the next Boba Fett with this cool armor and stuff. And in ways, she is the next Boba Fett because she just looks cool and does absolutely nothing.
Yeah, not a big role for sure.
We get cameos from actors like Simon Pegg, Daniel Craig, and Warwick Davis, actually.
Oh, very interesting.
We also see the return of Tim Rose as Admiral Akbar in one of his last Star Wars movies before he died.
Mm-hmm. That's pretty cool.
Tim Rose and Eric Bauersfeld. It's a joint thing between those two.
Oh, okay.
Billy Lord, Carrie Fisher's daughter, also makes an appearance. She doesn't get much to do, but that's okay.
Yeah, that's okay.
And finally, we have another joint performance with Bill Hader and Ben Schwartz playing BB-8.
Oh, I did not know that they played him.
Yeah, they made the noises for him.
That's kind of funny because they're just like robot noises. So, yeah, it's like, well, I don't know. It's funny. It's funny.
All right, so The Force Awakens. When this movie came out, it had received a lot of controversy over a lot of stuff. But one of the main things that people were really critical of this movie was that it was basically a remake of The Force Awakens, of A New Hope, which in some ways a little bit, yeah, but in other ways not really.
Yeah, it's not really the same movie, but there are a lot of similarities.
Well, for one, a Dark Lord is coming after a droid containing some sort of secret info that he and his organization need. It gets chased to a desert planet where an orphan in white finds it and decides to help it. Later on, said orphan finds a grizzled old mentor who wants to help them, basically. But then they get killed by said Dark Lord, and they have to escape and blow up the evil ball that's blowing up planets around the galaxy.
Yeah, it's quite similar. The plot is like almost identical.
Yeah, you got the bare bones skeleton of A New Hope, but it's about the journey, not the destination. And for the journey we get, it's not bad. I like it.
Yeah, rewatching it, yeah, I liked it more than what I thought I used to.
Now, objectively speaking, this is definitely much better than all three of the prequels. But subjectively speaking, I'd rather watch Revenge of the Sith over this one.
I think I would too, but that is just my opinion.
Let's see. So, again, this is the first Star Wars movie that Disney made after they bought Lucasfilm for $4 billion.
That is a lot of money.
That investment really paid off because The Force Awakens ended up making over $2 billion worldwide.
Oh yeah, that's very good payoff overall.
And as far as I remember, it's in the top 5 of highest grossing movies of all time, unadjusted for inflation, of course. Though, adjusted for inflation, the original Star Wars beats it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Uh, well, remember Billy Lord?
Yes.
Well, apparently she auditioned to play Rey.
Oh, now that would have been interesting.
Yeah, it would have been. Now, before we get into all of that, let's talk about some of the issues I have with this movie, because there are some. I don't really care for how they wasted Finn's character. They set him up as this stormtrooper who doesn't like what the First Order is doing. Yeah, it's not the Empire anymore, so First Order, but it's basically the same thing.
Yeah, it's like this the Empire Part 2.
Yeah, except they're not as well dressed as the Empire was.
I don't know. Sure.
Anyways, they position him in this role that would make for a really interesting character arc, but then they kind of crap the bed as soon as he tries to escape with Poe. So he's taking issue with having to kill people because that was on Jakku. That was the first battle he ever took part in. Okay, fine, whatever. That's okay. But like as soon as they're trying to escape, he's completely fine with killing people that he spent all his life around. Like these are people that were probably his friends, and he's just okay with shooting at them with no problem. Even though we also just saw that after Poe shot someone who was presumably another one of his friends, that really shook him up. What's going on here?
Yeah, his character's not very what's the word? He changes a lot, I guess.
I'd say that a good way to describe his character is missed potential.
Yeah, that would be good.
Yeah, we get 3 movies of this guy. In the first one, they do some stuff with him. You know, like they show his displeasure with the First Order and all that. They don't do a whole lot of interesting stuff with him after that, though. In the next 2 movies, his past as a stormtrooper doesn't really come up too much, outside of just small stuff here and there. But it never really informs a lot of his decisions. You know, if you took out the fact that he was a stormtrooper, his character wouldn't change much at all.
Yeah, I agree. There could have been a lot more done with his character. I think that would have helped a lot.
Now, there was another version of the storyline that was done pretty well in another part of Star Wars with the character of Migs Mayfield on The Mandalorian. He was an ex-Imperial sharpshooter, and we actually get to see the effects of what he saw on him in his 2 episodes. Again, he has 2 episodes, and they managed to make a better ex-Stormtrooper arc than they did in 3 movies with Finn, who is a main character in these movies too, I might add.
Yeah. Kind of funny how that works out.
Like when we see Migs in his 2nd episode, he's not too sure about wanting to see his old commander again, but in The Force Awakens, Finn isn't at all worried. He's cracking jokes like it'd be anyone else. It doesn't make any sense to me.
No, I don't get it either. It doesn't really make sense.
Like I like Finn fine as a character, but I feel like they could have done him a lot better. And John Boyega agrees with me too. He doesn't like how his character was treated by Disney either.
Yeah, a lot of missed potential, like you said. It could have been a whole lot better.
Another point of contention when this movie came out was the character of Rey and her Mary Sue-ness, or I'm assuming you know what a Mary Sue is.
Yes, I do.
Okay, and to an extent, I agree with that, but also there is some explanation for some of this. Some people were upset that she was able to beat Kylo Ren in a lightsaber fight. Three things actually. One, he just got shot by Chewie's bowcaster. That thing blows things up. So yeah, he was taken out of the fight. Plus the fact that he just killed his father, so his mind wasn't in that much either. Two, he was going easy on Rey.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that there were some things distracting him from the fight, so he wasn't completely, all in there. He wasn't giving it his all.
And three, this is hardly Rey's first fight. We see her fighting off a couple of thugs on Jakku with her staff. Now, granted, staff fighting is different from sword fighting, but it's something at least.
Yeah, we know that she can fight. That's for sure.
So yeah, I never really had any problem with that. What I do have a problem with is how quickly Han takes to her. It's so weird. At one point, when they're in hyperspeed, she solves a problem on the Falcon faster than he could. That doesn't make any sense. It's his ship. He won it fair and square. Not really fair and square, but he won it from Lando. Aside from when he's lost it, he's been with this ship for over a decade. I would think that he would know more about it than she would.
You would think. For me, I just gathered that she knows so much about all these different like mechanical things that she just knows a lot.
Yeah, whatever.
But yeah, it is Han's ship that he's had forever. So you would think he would know what to do before her.
And then he offers her a place on his ship. Although, to be fair, he did the same thing with Luke in the original movie. So there is a precedence for him picking up stragglers who grow on him pretty quickly. So maybe that one's not so far-fetched.
Yeah, maybe Han Solo is just more of a softie than what we thought.
Yeah, he's just lonely. It's just him and his big dog on their ship, and they're just going around trying not to get whacked by Jabba the Hutt.
Yeah, he could use another person.
I mean, we get other stuff later on about like her being a Palpatine descendant, which the weirdest thing is also during this movie, people were trying to figure out like who she was related to, and people were saying like Obi-Wan or Qui-Gon or Luke or something like that. And I saw a few people here and there say, what if she's related to Palpatine? And like at the time, it's like, yeah, like they do that, and then they did it.
Yeah, that was quite a surprise.
Yeah, it's more of a surprise that Palpatine never got laid, though. That's just weird to me.
Yeah, which we can talk more on this later whenever we get to the movie.
Yeah, you're right. Mm-hmm. Okay, we already went over Luke's lightsaber. How in the heck did Poe survive that crash? That doesn't make any sense. I mean, from an outside perspective, I know why they kept Poe around. It was because Oscar Isaac didn't want to die in that scene, so they just kept him around. So, I'm not upset about them keeping Oscar Isaac around. He's a great actor, but like that doesn't make sense for Poe's survival. It doesn't. Whatever.
Yeah, if they are gonna keep him around, they need to have shown him survive somehow. Like, did he also escape with a parachute and just get separated? And how did he get off the planet Jakku? That's the planet. How did he get off there? Yeah, there's just a lot of questions surrounding that.
I don't know. Maybe he was somehow able to contact the Resistance and they picked him up. I mean, it's not the most far-fetched thing, but and it's plausible enough. So so how he got off the planet, I'm willing to give that a pass.
Yeah, me too.
That's pretty much all my major complaints. Also, there's another thing. I feel like the pacing in this movie is a bit off too. Like not as bad as Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clones, but like not as good as Revenge of the Sith or the original trilogy.
Yeah. I think I agree with you. It does drag a little in the middle, maybe closer to the end too. It just kind of it does drag for me, I think.
Well, apparently Mark Hamill agrees with us that he didn't like that Han and Luke never got a reunion either.
Yeah, it just seems a little unfair.
This was also John Boyega's favorite movie of the sequel trilogy, which, yeah, no duh.
Yeah, that's my favorite of the sequel trilogy too.
Last Jedi was his least favorite.
Oh, okay. Not a surprise.
Not at all, no.
Nope.
Okay. Now, one thing I did like about this movie, though, it was a return to more practical effects. Now, I've said that how I'm not too worried about how Lucas was using a lot of CGI on the prequels because it's a brand new toy. He's gonna use it, but it's still nice to see actual things on screen.
Yeah, I agree. I do like the practical effects. And now, technology has come so far, we can do practical effects mixed with CGI.
Yeah, especially with some of the creatures. A lot of them were practical effects. Like we got guys in alien costumes and makeup and stuff. Like Simon Pegg's cameo as is this big tubby, basically landlord boss. His position is a little nebulous. He's basically Ray's boss on Jakku, and he's in this big alien suit, but it's also enhanced with CGI to make things move better, like his eyes, mouth, stuff like that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's good.
There's always back in the old days of animatronics and monster suits like that. There's always some sort of wonkiness with syncing up the voice to the mouth movements. But now you can do that a lot easier.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Thanks to technology.
At one point, one of the doors on the Millennium Falcon accidentally broke Harrison Ford's leg.
Oh my.
Yeah, so basically what they did was they shot all his sitting scenes first so that he can actually heal.
Yeah. That makes sense. That's kind of crazy.
Also, that resulted in them using more CGI for Maz. They were originally going to do an animatronic, which would appear in Rise of Skywalker, but to accommodate his injuries, they decided to just do CGI for this one.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, if he's injured, you got to do what's it's going to work for him.
Now, would you like to know what could have been from this movie?
Sure.
Or, well, you know what I mean.
I know what you mean. What is it?
Well, actually, before we get to that, you want to hear some funny coincidences about this movie?
Okay.
So, in universe, the character of General Hux was born during the last days of the Empire. His actor was born in May of 1983, just a little under 2 weeks before Return of the Jedi came out.
Oh, okay.
Poe Dameron's actor, Oscar Isaac, was born in Guatemala. Now, the scenes for the Rebel Base Yavin in the original trilogy was also filmed in Guatemala. So, Oscar Isaac's so Poe was Poe was also born on Yavin.
That's funny.
Yeah, I did my best, okay? To speak all of that.
Yeah, I know you're I was trying to follow you, but I think I got it.
Harrison Ford actually has a son named Ben.
Oh, that's funny.
Now, what could have been from this movie? Because I'm just assuming that, like every movie ever, stuff changes.
Oh yeah, all the time.
Okay. So there were some other actors who were considered for the role of Rey before Daisy Ridley was cast. Jennifer Lawrence, Shailene Woodley, and Elizabeth Olsen in particular.
All right, yeah.
Saoirse Ronan, Evan Rachel Wood, Rachel Hurd-Wood, and Isa Gonzalez, Courtney Eaton, and Frida Gustafsson also auditioned for the role.
Interesting.
Jesse Plemons, Matthew James Thomas, Ed Spielers, and Ray Fisher were the final contenders for the part of Finn before John Boyega was cast.
Mm-hmm. I don't know if I recognize any of those names.
Let's see.
Okay.
Well, Ray Fisher was Cyborg in Zack Snyder's Justice League.
Okay.
Also, people who screen tested: Michael B. Jordan, Joseph David Jones, Daryl McCormick, David Oyelowo, Deo Okenye, Shay Stokes, and Tom Holland also tested for the role. So they're casting a wide net. They're not really caring what the guy looks like, which is a good thing to do when casting a role.
Yeah. Sounds like it was a wide variety.
James McAvoy, Chiwetel Ejiofor, and Joel Edgerton, which is weird considering he was already in Attack of the Clones or Revenge of the Sith, were considered for the role of Poe Dameron.
Yeah, that's weird that Joel Edgerton auditioned.
But then again, it's no weirder than Taika Waititi offering Natalie Portman a role in the Star Wars movie that he was developing because he forgot that she was already in the prequels.
Yeah, that's funny.
Also considered were Miles Teller, Liam McIntyre, Jack O'Connell, Alex Pettyfer, and Sullivan Stapleton. I only know some of these actors.
For Poe?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Okay, this would have been it. This next one is kind of weird. Michael Fassbender, Christoph Waltz, and Hugo Weaving were considered for the role of Kylo Ren before Adam Driver was cast.
They're going with a more older crowd.
Yeah, which Christoph Waltz isn't that much younger than, Harrison Ford. So I guess at that point when they were considering him or Hugo Weaving, he would have been an unrelated character to them. Yeah,
probably. Because that seems odd to have them try out whenever it's Han Solo's son. But okay, whatever.
Eddie Redmayne, Joel Kinnaman, and Lee Pace also auditioned for the role.
Okay.
Those are a bit more age appropriate, so that's better.
Yeah.
Matthew Vaughn and Brad Bird were originally approached to direct before J.J. Abrams was hired.
Interesting. I don't know Matthew Vaughn, I think.
He did the Kingsman movies.
Okay, I do know him.
Also considered were Guillermo del Toro. I would love to see his Star Wars movie.
Yeah, I think that would be really cool.
Christopher Nolan. I would love to see his too. James Cameron. Okay, I should stop before because all of these directors except for the last one, I would love to see their Star Wars movie.
Yeah.
Neil Blomkamp, Joss Whedon. Well, maybe not him. David Fincher, Peter Jackson, Ben Affleck, and Rian Johnson were also considered.
Yeah.
We're gonna get into Rian Johnson's Star Wars movie next.
Yeah, save it for later.
Let's see. And there's one more thing that this movie answers.
What's that?
Well, in the movie Clerks, they were having discussions about, the Death Star and how many quote-unquote innocent people were killed when Luke blew it up. And about how not every stormtrooper can be, a guy with a gun. There's got to be contractors doing stuff too, because what stormtrooper knows how to unclog a toilet?
That's true. I don't know.
But we get an answer to that in this movie when when Finn is asked what he did on Starkiller Base. He told Han sanitation.
Yeah, he was just in sanitation.
So I guess stormtroopers do know how to unclog a toilet.
Some of them do, yeah.
Well, we should probably wrap this part up. We're talking a bit long about The Force Awakens of all things.
Yeah, and I'm sure you have plenty to say for the others.
Oh, I'm gonna try to keep those short, but we'll see what happens.
We will see what happens because I doubt it.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, but we can see.
All right, we're gonna go into The Last Jedi next, and okay, just for a little peek behind the curtain, we're watching these movies and then recording them. We're not watching them all and then recording one after another. So maybe my mind will get changed on The Last Jedi. Maybe it won't. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, let's watch it and see.
We will. So when The Last Jedi came out in the winter of 2017, it was it was immediately incredibly controversial. Half of the internet was divided. Half of basically everyone was divided on this movie. At the time, I thought it was just okay. I certainly didn't love it, but I came out of the theater having a weird feeling about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I guess I know what you mean. Like, whenever I watched it in theaters for the first time, well, and the only time, I'm trying to remember, but I remember being like, I think my thoughts were just like, oh well, that was a Star Wars movie. I didn't really have very many strong thoughts about it at all.
Yeah. Now, in hindsight, yeah, I don't really care for this one too much at all.
I don't either.
Now, there, like I said in our Star Wars rankings video, I can find something to like in basically every Star Wars movie. It's a gift I have.
Uh huh. What about this one?
Well, we'll get there. we will get there.
Okay.
Okay, so this movie, I was trying to pick up my notepad, but then I realized no, get your phone. That's what the info has on. This movie, of course, stars Mark Hamill as Luke Skywalker and Carrie Fisher as Leia Organa.
Yep, of course.
General Organa, Princess Organa. You know, I'm going to agree with Max von Sydow in The Force Awakens. To me, she's royalty.
Yes, she is.
Luke is, Luke is where some of my problems lie. And it has to do with his characterization. But we'll get to there when we get to there.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Leia is, once again, leading the Resistance. And she doesn't have much to do, but it's always nice to see her.
Yeah, it is.
Adam Driver returns as Kylo Ren, the apprentice of Supreme Leader Snoke, the leader of the First Order. And, we're going to be saying this in our Rise of Skywalker review as well, but Adam Driver is absolutely incredible in these movies.
Yeah, I like him a lot. I think he's pretty cool.
Daisy Ridley returns as Rey, John Boyega as Finn, and Oscar Isaac as Poe Dameron, our quote-unquote main trio of this trilogy. And outside of Rise of Skywalker, we don't really get a whole lot of trio moments with them. It's usually just Rey and Finn, or Finn and Poe. Poe doesn't do anything with Rey until Rise of Skywalker. And granted, all three of them are together in that movie. And they do have some decent moments, but to call these three the trio of this new trilogy is kind of misleading, I'd say.
Yeah, I'd say so. They're barely ever together, all three of them. So, a trio, they're just not quite a trio.
Andy Serkis once again returns as Snoke, who we don't get much of him. We just get this guy dressed in gold who looks like he started picking out his scabs at a young age and never stopped.
Yeah, he's an ugly looking fella.
Now, yeah, some people would say that, oh, but the Emperor didn't have much to go on in the original trilogy. Why wouldn't you complain about that? Here's a few things. One, personality. The Emperor had a lot more going.
Watch her.
The Emperor had a lot more personality in the original trilogy. You know, he was creepy. He had a certain amount of menace to him. He had a certain panache, if you would.
Nice word use.
Thanks.
Yeah, you're welcome.
And we get hints of a backstory in there in the original movie. The Vader helped the Emperor hunt down and destroy the Jedi. It's not the biggest thing in the world, but it's something at least.
Yeah, it is, some sort of background. Unlike Snoke.
Where we get absolutely nothing. We learn in Rise of Skywalker that he's a failed clone of the Emperor, but we're not there yet.
Yeah, we're not told that till the last movie. So,
Lupita Nyong'o has a small appearance as Maz Kanata. Not much to say there. Honestly, she doesn't do much, but she points them in the direction that they need to in order to save the Resistance.
Yeah, like 1 line, 2 lines, maybe.
Maybe even 3 or 4.
Maybe.
Domhnall Gleeson returns as General Hux, and they did my boy dirty here. I'm not going to say that Hux was an incredibly deep character in The Force Awakens, but he at least had some dignity to him. Here, they just treat him like a joke for basically all of the screen time. And then in Rise of Skywalker, we'll get there when we get there, I said.
Yeah. In this movie, he's just kind of a pitiful character that, it's just kind of like, man, I don't know.
He just gets bullied by everyone around him, and that's got to suck for him because, not the character, but for the actor, Donald Gleason. He's a very, very talented performer, and I like seeing him pop up and stuff. He's like one of those character actors that you don't get to see too often, but when you do, they may not be in a big role, but they're pretty memorable all on their own.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Anthony Daniels returns as C-3PO. Kenny Baker did not return as R2, given the fact that he had died.
Oh, well, yeah, that would prevent him from doing that.
Instead, R2 was performed by Jimmy V, another midget.
Okay, yeah.
Gwendolyn Christie is absolutely wasted as Captain Phasma. That's another shame.
Yeah, I agree.
Kelly Marie Tran plays Rose Tico. Moving on. Laura Dern plays Vice Admiral Holdo. Again, moving on.
Mm-hmm, yeah. Just keep going.
Benicio del Toro plays DJ, a code breaker who... Well, we'll get there when we get there.
Okay, yeah, we'll get there.
Frank Oz, once again, is the voice, and I'm assuming puppeteering of Yoda this time around.
Yeah, it is nice to have Yoda back, especially as a puppet.
Billy Lord, once again, plays Lieutenant Connix. Billy Lord, of course, being Carrie Fisher's daughter.
Yep.
Juna Sutama plays Chewbacca. This was... He took over from Peter Mayhew.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Tim Rose plays Admiral Akbar in body, while Tom Kane plays him in voice. This is due to his original voice actor having passed in the middle between Force Awakens and this movie.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Tom Kane is no stranger to Star Wars, though. He played a lot of people on Clone Wars, but to just name a few, Yoda and Plo Koon.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And Ryan Johnson mainstays Noah Sagan and Joseph Gordon-Levitt also show up in cameo appearances, so that's nice.
Oh, I didn't even know that.
Well, Joseph Gordon-Levitt plays the guy on Canto Bight who turns in Rose and Finn after they crash.
Do you see him, or is he in a costume?
Just a voice.
Okay, yeah, that would probably be why I didn't catch it.
Okay, so The Last Jedi. I don't like this movie very much, as you will see.
I think we're already getting a good idea.
Well, let me go over this, okay? So, well, first of all, they do this thing a lot in this movie where they try to tell jokes, and it's just a tone killer, okay? We're trying to have a serious moment here, and we have one of these guys just trying to make the audience laugh, and it's not for any story purposes. It's just to be an annoying jackass.
Yeah, I'm gonna probably agree with you on that one. I do think the jokes kind of fall flat. It's just, I don't know, there's something missing. The casual funny banter just doesn't really get any good use in this movie.
I wouldn't say it doesn't get any good use, because we have some characters like DJ, who is decently funny enough, and while yes, some of that stuff can be some just stop the story and just to make a joke, it's decently funny enough, at least coming from him.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so our main conflict starts after the Resistance is trying to get away from the First Order off of their rebel base on whatever planet they were on in the last movie. It doesn't matter. So they're trying to do that. Poe decides to leave a bombing run on a dreadnought. It's basically one of their huge ships that can kill a lot of guys. It's not very well defined.
Okay. Yeah.
You just see this big thing and you think, oh, that's dangerous.
Very dangerous.
Um, I'm not going to harp on the bombing run for the whole there's no gravity in space because that's basically small potatoes. Okay, yeah, I guess technically it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense that the bombs are going to fall straight down, but it's space. Maybe there's something that's making the bombs go down. Maybe they're being maybe they're magnetized to whatever ship they're going to be falling on. I don't know. It doesn't matter. We got bigger fish to fry.
Yeah, that's something that I didn't even really. Yeah, I didn't even really notice that. Oh yeah, we're in space. Gravity's a thing. So, yeah, that didn't affect me at all.
So they go into light speed to get away from them, get away from the First Order, and the First Order is able to track them using light speed tracking. Okay, I mean this has never shown up in Star Wars before, but I guess technology has evolved into the point where they can do that. So okay, fine, whatever. And the Resistance is able to stay just basically one step ahead of the First Order, just out of range of their after their lasers. First Order is able to kill their other ships that are with them, but the main ship is able to just stay just out of reach so that their shields are effective. And someone says, "Oh, we only have enough fuel for this amount of time." First, fuel? You have fuel. Not once in any other Star Wars movie before this has fuel ever came up. So what's going on here?
I mean, I always assumed the ships use fuel, so it wasn't like a big deal. But it is weird that this is the first time they ever talked about, fuel being a problem.
They just spring this out of nowhere. Like, oh, we got fuel now. We have fuel now. Okay. It's just incredibly silly.
It's a little silly.
But even more silly is the whole Holdo and Finn's plan thing that they try to do in order to get the First Order off their backs. Okay, so Holdo is not a very good character at all. I'd go so far as to say she's one of the worst in all of Star Wars. I'm going to make that bold statement, and I'm doing it now.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
So most of the command is incapacitated. Okay, all except Leia is killed, and she uses the Force while she's out in space to get back to the ship. Honestly, I never really had a problem with that. It looks a bit silly, but it's understandable.
Yeah, understandable.
So Admiral Holdo is a ranking officer, so she decides, well, she has to take command, and the whole time she's just acting like an absolutely insufferable. Well, there's no real easy way of seeing this, but a douchebag.
Okay.
Okay, so so Poe's trying to help. He's trying to figure out what they're gonna do, what's happening, and she just acts so smug about everything. Like, oh, Leia demoted you. Didn't you know that? Really? Okay. Is there any point in acting like this?
I don't know.
And he's trying to get some sort of plan. Like, hey, what's going on? What are we doing? But yeah, she has nothing. She's just an idiot. Now, I've seen people try to make the argument that they didn't know if there was a mole on the ship. Well, first of all, the First Order is trying to, destroy the ship and kill everyone on there. So, whatever mole they would have on the ship would be a very suicidal person. Plus, they have someone down in the escape pods, stunning anyone and taking them to the brig if they try to go AWOL. So there's no danger there either. So why, if you don't have a plan, just take Poe aside and tell him, hey, we don't have a plan. We're trying to figure that out. So just be cool. Or if in the plan that they ended up having with using the shuttles in order to get down to the planet, tell him that. But no, you just have to be a smug douchebag the whole time and just waste everyone's time, which leads to Poe sending Finn and Rose on some half-cocked scheme in order to find a codebreaker to get onto the First Order ship, which that's a ridiculous thing to begin with too. You have, I know I just criticized them about the fuel thing, but if we're going to be playing by the rules in this movie, we're going to play by the rules. You only have so much time left for fuel. Is it really going to be worth it in order to send someone to this far off planet over here to get someone to come back to this ship that's right behind you to shut off the tracking and to get them back on the ship? It doesn't make any sense at all. This is stupid.
I don't know. I mean, I obviously don't have as many. I'm obviously not as passionate about this movie as you are. You seem pretty upset. But to me, yeah, I mean, she's a character I didn't like. But yeah, some of the things she does is a little weird. And I don't know, I guess maybe they could have been thought out more.
Now, that basically covers all my problems with Holdo, except for another, which isn't really a problem with her, but we'll get there. So, Rose Tico. I want to preface this by saying that if you attack the actress at all for her character, you are a huge douchebag, and I hope you fall down the stairs.
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously not the actor's fault.
Now, having said that, Rose Tico was a pretty cringe character, and I don't like her much either.
Yeah, I was not a fan of her character.
And at first, she seems likable enough, but then she just turns into cringe after they get to Canto Bight, and she has this whole, spiel about being against the rich and how she and her sister had to fight tooth and nail for this. Like, I don't care at all, okay? And then there's this whole thing about her being sad that the space horses are getting mistreated while they free some of them, but they leave the slave children there. That don't make any sense to me.
Yeah. I don't really get it.
And then there's the whole, saving what we love, not destroying what we hate thing. No, honey, that's not how this works. You save what you love by destroying what you hate. How else did Darth Vader save Luke? He killed the Emperor.
Or so we thought.
Yeah, so we thought.
Yeah, that makes sense.
How did Obi-Wan stop Darth Maul? He killed him. In Rebels, not in Phantom Menace.
Okay, yeah.
How did Anakin stop Count Dooku? Let's say it all together. He killed
him.
This is how this works, honey. Try to keep up.
Yeah.
Okay, that's all I have to say about Rose, honestly.
Okay. Well, what's your next rant gonna be about?
Let's see. Just going down the list. We already went over Snoke. Let's get into Luke.
Okay. Let's do that.
Okay, so I can't stand what they did with his character in this movie.
He is quite different than the Luke we know from the trilogy.
Now, if you want to make the argument that he's older, he's more jaded, so yeah, he's going to be a bit different. Yeah, fair enough. I would expect him to be different. I would expect him to have changed in some way from the Luke of old, but this is just too far.
Yeah, I agree. He's just definitely not as likable in this movie as he was in the original trilogy.
I don't have a problem with him having abandoned everything and gone off to live by himself as a hermit on some abandoned planet. Obi-Wan did that. Yoda did that. It's kind of a tradition for the Jedi.
That just seems to be what happens when you get old and you're a Jedi.
It's the reason why he did it is what upsets me so much. So he'd been having some difficulties with trying to train Ben Solo. He could sense some darkness in this kid's mind, but the Luke that we know would have tried his best to teach his nephew the right way, and to try to get him to stay on the light. No, Ryan Johnson's Luke decides that he's going to go into his room in the middle of the night when his nephew's having a bad dream and try to kill him.
Yeah.
Yeah, Luke, the guy who wouldn't kill Vader because he knew he didn't even know, he had a feeling that he still had some good in him, tries to kill his nephew, this boy, for having dark side thoughts. Make it make sense to me.
Yeah, it's very out of character for him, I think.
It's just absolutely ridiculous. I can't stand it at all.
I can tell.
Now, there is something about Luke I do like in this movie. Honestly, Mark Hamill's given a great performance.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, he always does. True,
but I feel like he got to play like a more lost Luke, which, again, I don't mind that he is this way. I just don't mind. I just mind the reason why he's this way.
Yeah. Mm.
Okay. Yeah, I feel like the whole Holdo and Akbar thing, which I'm saying the Akbar thing like it's something I brought up, but that whole section of the plot could have been avoided if they hadn't killed off Akbar when they did.
Yeah. Remind me about that again.
Okay, so when Kylo Ren was going to shoot the bridge of the Resistance ship, he couldn't because his mom Leia was on there.
Yeah, I remember.
But then one of the TIE fighters he was being escorted by decides to do it, which ends up killing everyone but Leia.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Including Admiral Akbar.
Okay, I guess I forgot he was there, but yeah, I remember.
Now, on the one hand, in hindsight, they probably should have killed Leia off too, since Carrie Fisher's death. But I mean, with the benefit of hindsight, that's the only way you could see that. While they were making the movie, it wouldn't have made sense to kill off Leia since she was supposed to have a big role in Rise of Skywalker, or whatever it was going to be at that point. So they had plans for her. They couldn't do that. Fine, fair enough. But with Akbar, they really should have saved him for that heroic sacrifice at the end that Holdo does.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I guess. I don't know.
It would be a much more dignified way to send his character off than the way that we got from him.
It would be more dignified, especially for a character that's been around for so long.
Okay. Already talked about Finn's plan in Canto Bight, so there's that. Also, we talked about Hux already. He's a real big punching bag in this movie.
Yep, he is.
Now, let's talk about some stuff that I like, because there is some.
Okay, well, what do you like?
I really like Yoda's scene in the movie.
Yeah, I do too.
He does dispense some pretty good wisdom about how failure is a good teacher to basically use it and learn from it. Kind of stealing Rafiki's thing, but whatever.
Yeah, it's okay. It's a good lesson.
I liked how the thing that gets Luke back into action was Leia's hologram that R2 had.
Yeah, I guess he had it saved away in his memory or whatever droids have.
Yeah, the first thing that gets Luke into the rebellion is the same thing that gets him sort of into the Resistance.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Plus,
the first time Luke saw Leia was a hologram, and the last time Leia saw Luke was also a hologram of sorts. It was a Jedi Force projection.
Yeah, you that's pretty similar to a hologram.
See, it's like poetry sometimes. It rhymes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Also, I actually kind of like Luke's end in this movie and how he died.
Oh, yeah?
Well, okay, so Luke is force projecting himself to the other side of the galaxy on Crate, It's this big sandy planet. It kind of looks like Hoth, but it's not snow, it's sand. It's weird choice aesthetically, but whatever. And, well, we don't know that he's a force projection yet until Kylo Ren starts actually making quote-unquote contact with him with his lightsaber. And then we see Luke back on Ahch-To meditating and projecting his image onto Crate. I feel like that's a pretty good way for a Jedi to go out. He's saving people's lives while also not killing anyone.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Which I know I went on a diatribe about, the whole saving what we love versus destroying what we hate thing. But for someone like Luke, yeah, this would be the thing he would do, which he did do.
Yeah. And it makes sense too, because force projecting yourself that far away has got to probably take a lot out of you. So it makes sense that it would cause him to die.
Yeah, and we get a very beautiful image of him against the twin suns for the last time, and the force theme just swelling as he disappears. And yeah, that really made me sad in like the way that was intended.
Yeah, a good sad this time.
Which leads me into, regrettably, another thing that I didn't like about this movie. There was a scene cut that showed Luke actually mourning Han.
Yeah.
Now, why they cut that out? Who knows? Maybe because it was just too much like the real Luke Skywalker to keep in.
Maybe. Or maybe since that would have been the first time we saw Luke Skywalker in that movie. I don't know.
Anyways. Yeah, I don't like this movie. I'm assuming you don't either.
No. Yeah. I think I have to try very hard to pay attention during this movie. I was on my phone a lot. It just doesn't do very well holding my attention. So, yeah. Definitely not a good movie.
But there's another aspect that I do like about this movie, which is also an aspect that I don't like. Okay. It's funny how this happens.
All right. Explain.
Okay, so the character of DJ, I like how he has some real personality. He's a pretty funny character and a pretty fun character to be around. However, so Finn and Rose are going to Canto Bight to get this code breaker. They find who Maz tells them to find, but then they get thrown in prison. Into the same cell as this other guy who just so happens to be a codebreaker, but hasn't broken out yet.
Yeah. How much of a codebreaker can you be if you're still in prison?
It's like, was he waiting for them to be put in so that he can break out? You would think someone who's actually able to hack the system like he did was, you would think he would be out by now.
Maybe he was just getting some peace and quiet, taking a nap before breaking out, just kind of recharging. I don't know.
I don't know. So this movie was directed by someone completely different from The Force Awakens. J.J. Abrams did Force Awakens. Rian Johnson did this. And I'm going to be straight up. I feel like Rian Johnson should stick to directing Knives Out movies.
Probably. That seems to be best for him.
But, see, the thing is, there was no, direction in order to take this trilogy. Disney just had these guys just make Star Wars movies. Just go make a Star Wars movie.
Yeah, you can really tell as the movies go on that they did not have a plan for this.
No, they did not. What they should have done was map out where they wanted to go with this trilogy, okay? Make some sort of plan. Something, okay? And have backups, please. I guess they did have backups, but they were bad ones, as we saw with Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And, look, there's some things that you just can't account for, like actor deaths. You can't account for that sometimes. So sometimes you do gotta change up plans at the last second. But still, it would help to actually have plans in order to change them up.
Yeah, that would help.
If they had stuck to one director or one vision for the whole trilogy, this would have turned out much better. Okay. I mean, even as I complain about Rian Johnson's, contributions, if he had just done the whole trilogy, it would have been a lot more consistent.
Yeah, it would have.
Or if J.J. Abrams did the whole trilogy, it would have been a lot more consistent. Just make a plan, please. Please.
Yeah, having one director may have also helped. Yeah, you're right. Because then it would just be one person's vision, so it would hopefully all kind of, go together.
Heck, that's also a problem I have with the original trilogy. the fact that there's such a tonal shift for going for really dark in the middle to just going back to the more lighter side that we got in A New Hope.
Yeah. Changing stuff like that'll affect it for sure.
But the only reason why we like it there is because the movies ended up being good.
Yes, very good.
And even still, George Lucas still had his hands in all three of those movies.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that definitely kept it concise.
This is just a whole bunch of silliness, and I don't like this movie very much.
I know, and you've said it before, but that's okay.
I've said it before, I'll say it again. But not right now.
Okay.
Okay, so there's some backlash from some of the people in this movie.
All right.
Andy Serkis disagreed with their decision to kill Snoke in it.
Okay. Why did he say?
He sarcastically described his role as the character that no one knows where he came from, where he's going to, or what he is, or anything about him, including myself.
Yeah. I agree with that.
He later talked about how much he invested into the role, which is why he was particularly gutted when he read that he dies.
Yeah, that would be unfortunate for him.
Anthony Daniels didn't like how minimal 3PO was in this movie, he's right. He's pretty much just there, I guess. He has like 4 lines the whole movie and doesn't do much.
Yeah, he doesn't really have like a real role. He's just kind of there in the background, saying something, not a lot of stuff.
Which this is something that Rise of Skywalker does pretty well, actually. They use 3PO a lot better than they did in The Last Jedi.
Yeah.
Oh, also, where did his red arm go? This takes place right after Force Awakens, and he just doesn't have a red arm. It's kind of weird.
It got replaced. Remember in the first movie, he says, "I have a red arm until it gets replaced."
No, he said you probably don't recognize me because of the red arm.
Yeah, and then later he says it's there until he gets it replaced.
Did he say that?
Yes. I'm right.
Anyways. So Tom Kane also agrees with me on how Admiral Akbar was wasted.
Wasted.
He referred to it as a total waste of a beloved character while criticizing the use of Holdo, whose role he felt suited Akbar better.
Yeah, I mean, we can agree with that.
Akbar's physical actor, Tim Rose, also felt similarly.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see. His final time wearing the suit was just that's a wrap for him. It had him crying in the suit.
Dang. Yeah.
He also didn't like the soon surpasses the Master theme, feeling that the practical effects industry was replaced with CGI as opposed to being improved upon.
Yeah.
Which this movie does use more practical effects than the prequel trilogy too, so I like that.
Yeah, it does, which is good.
John Boyega did not like this movie either. He disagreed with a lot of the film's creative choices and criticized the fact that his character was kept away from the rest of the main cast for most of the plot.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd be mad about that too. I think Finn deserves to, what's the word? Interact with, the characters that are already there.
Which is something I criticized in our Force Awakens portion, how they fundamentally misused Finn's character, and how they did this storyline much better in a much shorter time with Migs Mayfield on The Mandalorian.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
J.J. Abrams, he praised the movie, but he also said that he understands why it's so divisive.
Yeah.
Yeah, understatement of the century, buddy.
Yeah, for sure.
Mark Hamill has expressed disagreement regarding the direction of his character.
I could see that. Yeah, that makes sense.
At some point he in an interview he said that he had to approach it like he's not playing Luke Skywalker, but more so a character like Luke Skywalker, which, oh god, that's terrible. That is just awful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, so we're not going to get into deleted scenes, but there is some stuff that could have been different in this movie.
Okay, like what?
Well, for instance, there is... Well, actually, before that, I want to talk about another thing that I actually kind of like that other people don't.
What's that?
Well, the reveal that Rey's parents were nobodies.
Yeah.
You know, there's this whole thing about legacy in Star Wars, about how some characters are only powerful because they're related to such and such, or this person, or whatever. And that doesn't have to be all the time. It could be different. It could just be someone who came from nowhere and just happens to be really powerful. I mean, these legacies got to start somewhere.
Yeah, that happened with Anakin.
However, that would be been undone.
Yeah, the next movie, though, changes that, so.
Yeah, but this movie's still right. Rey's parents were nobodies.
Yeah.
Okay, so Olivia Cook, Gina Rodriguez, Gugu Mbatha Raw, and Tatiana Maslany were considered for the role of Rose Tico.
Okay.
Maslany also previously auditioned for the role of Jyn Erso in Rogue One. She was She-Hulk.
Oh, okay. Yes.
Joaquin Phoenix was approached for the role of DJ before Benicio del Toro was cast. That could have been interesting.
Yeah, it could have been, yeah.
Okay. Some early script ideas involved Luke being blind, but they decided against that. Probably because they just had a blind, force-sensitive person in the last movie, Rogue One.
Yeah, so doing it again so soon would be like,
Obi-Wan was considered to appear as a Force Ghost, and Ewan McGregor was also wanting to do that too.
Yeah, that would have been cool.
They removed this because the only version of Obi-Wan that Luke had interacted with was Alec Guinness, and Rian Johnson felt that having Luke interact with Ewan McGregor's Obi-Wan would have felt too weird. You know, oddly enough, I get that.
I can understand that, yeah.
Still would have been awesome, though.
It would have been.
Especially since we hear Ewan McGregor's Obi-Wan in the next movie.
Yeah, so, yeah. I don't know, man.
And Force Ghosts can change how they look, I guess, since we got Hayden Christensen's Force Ghost at the very end of Ahsoka, after he just been played by Sebastian Stan in his Force Ghost form.
Okay.
Not Sebastian Stan, Sebastian Shaw.
All right. Yeah, I didn't know what you were talking about.
At the end of Ahsoka, we saw Hayden Christensen as Anakin's Force Ghost at the very end.
Okay.
Anyways, I mean that's pretty much it.
Yeah. It doesn't sound like it would have been very much different with any of those changes.
Rian Johnson also considered having Luke be visited by Anakin, bringing back Hayden Christensen to do it, so he can realize how he needs to help Rey. But he changed it to Yoda, as Luke never really knew his pre-Darkseid father.
I think it would be cool to have Anakin.
Yeah, they really should have done that.
Yeah, because, the whole father-son relationship. That would have been cool to see.
Originally, at one point, Luke was supposed to have a man bun, so I'm glad they changed that.
Yeah. Small change, but yeah.
All right. Next, we have Rise of Skywalker. And surely this can't be any worse, right?
We'll see.
Yeah, we will. Okay, so Rise of Skywalker, the last movie in the sequel trilogy, and the last movie in the Skywalker saga. Even though that's kind of nebulous at this point, really.
Yeah, I don't know, man.
Okay, let's get into who's in this, because we're gonna be here long enough as it is. So let's just get it over and done with. Okay, so returning once again in their roles in the sequel trilogy, we have Adam Driver as Kylo Ren, who goes through a bit of a redemption arc, sorta, a little bit, and becomes Ben Solo once again. Daisy Ridley, John Boyega, and Oscar Isaac show up as Rey, Finn, and Poe. And this is the one movie where they're actually all together as a trio, like we said. And they don't get they don't get a whole lot of scenes. They get scenes where they're together, but they don't have a whole lot of scenes where they're actually interacting with each other, doing stuff. Oh well.
Yeah, it seems like it's wasted character. Chemistry, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Which their chemistry together as characters is fine enough. So why didn't they get more scenes together throughout the trilogy? I don't know. I don't care at this point. Just whatever.
Yeah, I don't know, man.
Anthony Daniels returns as C-3PO, of course, as God intended.
Yeah, obviously.
Mark Hamill and Carrie Fisher return as Luke and Leia, respectively. And I'll give the movie this: they sure did work around Carrie Fisher's death in this movie. Using the archive footage that they had left over from deleted scenes from Force Awakens, they did a bang up job. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, you would think she was still alive during this production.
So how they brought Carrie Fisher back to life for this movie effectively. So they used a combination of archival footage, body doubles, and deepfake technology to put her face on someone else's body. And, it worked out pretty well. At one point during a flashback scene, they used Carrie Fisher's daughter, Billie Lourd, as the body double when she and Luke are training. And they put her mother's face on her face. So, yeah, as far as that goes, pretty bang up job.
Yeah, it works out well. Yeah.
Naomi Ackie plays Jannah, another stormtrooper who abandoned the First Order. She doesn't get a whole lot to do either. Same as Finn.
Yeah, not a lot.
Domhnall Gleeson plays General Hux.
I see what you did there.
Yeah, he's still absolutely worthless in this movie. But they do a little bit different. They do treat him a little bit better than they did in The Last Jedi, and they give him something to do. He's the mole in the First Order who was started feeding info to the Resistance. And yeah, I'm of two minds of this. On the one hand, the reveal is kind of cringe, but on the other hand, it does make sense that he would do this, given how at the end of The Last Jedi, he's the person he hates the most, Kylo Ren, is now the supreme leader and is telling him what to do. So he's going to try to screw him over. So okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, he really, really hates Kylo Ren, so it does make sense that he would do whatever he can to go against him.
Richard E. Grant plays General Pride, from the looks of things, an old Empire officer who was serving Palpatine, who's now serving him again. He also gets to kill Hux after he deduces that he was the spy. Sure, fine, cool, whatever. Okay.
Yeah, that's about it. I don't have anything else to add to that.
Lupita Nyong'o once again plays Maz Kanata, and this time, Maz is actually a physical prop on set, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah, and she looks pretty cool.
Kerry Russell plays Zori Bliss, and an old friend of Poe. It's kind of unclear what they used to be. Maybe they were hooking up. Maybe they were just homies. I don't know. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's unclear, but it also, like you said, does not matter.
This movie's 2 hours and 20 minutes long, but it feels like twice as much as that. Same thing with The Last Jedi. Both of these two latter movies, the pacing is all off. There's just a whole lot of blah in both of these movies. But thankfully, this one is over a little bit quicker.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Ian McDiarmid makes its grand return as the Emperor, and okay, you didn't have to do this. You really didn't have to do that. But you did. You did, Disney. You brought him back just to cash in on our nostalgia. And you know what? It kind of worked. This movie made over $1 billion worldwide, so it must have worked.
Yeah. I just like that he's brought back with no explanation of how he could have survived.
Oh, but you see, the dead speak. And you know where the dead spoke?
Where?
In Fortnite. That's how that's how it was revealed how Palpatine survived.
That sounds lame.
That's very lame, yeah.
I've never played Fortnite.
Me neither.
It does sound really lame.
Yeah. Look, I wish I could feel more angry about this, but I just feel nothing about most of this movie. Is absolute dog crap.
Yeah.
Uh, okay, well, here's a bright spot. Shirley Henderson plays Babu Frick.
Mhm.
A cute little guy who fixes machines. He does machines, as you would.
Yeah, he's pretty cute. I think I like him. He's a cute little character.
We have... Okay. Also, at one point in the movie, we get several voice-only cameos. Yeah, voice-only because China doesn't like ghosts.
It seems weird.
Yeah. We get several voice-only cameos of Force ghosts from past Jedi. We have Hayden Christensen as Anakin Skywalker, of course.
Obviously.
Olivia Dabo as Luminara Unduli.
Don't know who that is.
She played her on the Clone Wars.
Okay.
Ashley Eckstein as Ahsoka Tano.
Mm-hmm.
Jennifer Hale as Ayla Secura, also played her on Clone Wars.
Yeah, that explains why I don't know the character. Yep.
Samuel L. Jackson as Mace Windu.
Who else?
Ewan McGregor and Alec Guinness as Obi-Wan.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Frank Oz as Yoda.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Angelique Perrin as Adi Gallia.
Another character I don't know.
And actually, this was her first speaking line in all of live action. I'm sure she appeared at some point on the Clone Wars. But honestly, I don't care about her character. She doesn't matter.
Okay.
That sounds a bit mean of me, but sure.
Yeah.
Freddie Prinze Jr. as Kanan Jarrus. He played Kanan on Rebels.
Yeah, another character I don't know.
And Liam Neeson returns as Qui-Gon Jinn.
Mm-hmm. Obviously, yeah.
Yeah, all of those Jedi, and you couldn't spare a few lines for my boy Plo Koon? Come on, guys.
I don't know. I didn't direct it.
Speaking of director, J.J. Abrams makes a cameo as well as a small droid, Dio.
Yeah, I like the little droid. I thought he's cute.
Yeah, he was pretty funny, all things considered. Which I'm going to get it right into one of the things that I do like about this movie. The cute stuff is okay.
I like the cute stuff.
You got BB-8. You got Babu Frick. You got Dio.
Yeah. I think, there's nothing wrong with having a character just in there to be cute.
Speaking of things that you think are cute, Wicket also appears. He's played once again by Warwick Davis, and Wicket's son is played by Warwick Davis' son. So that's kind of cool, I guess.
It is nice. They're only in the movie for like 2 seconds, but still.
However, if this movie ended with both of them getting squished by falling debris, I would have forgiven everything else in this movie, just right off the bat.
I wouldn't have. That would just be sad.
It'd be funny.
Whatever.
Okay, so this movie has several problems. I'm not going to get as mad as I got in The Last Jedi portion, because for the most part, I just don't feel anything about this. It's just like, yeah, that sucks. I wish I could get more angry about this, but I can't.
Yeah, alright. So what's up first?
Well, let's get into the good stuff first, because why not? Let's start this part off with a little bit of positivity. Adam Driver is absolutely killing it in all three of these movies. He is absolutely fantastic as Kylo Ren.
Yeah, I think a lot of people agree that he is one of the highlights to this trilogy of movies.
Someone check him into the hospital for back surgery, because he's carrying this trilogy on his. Okay, he is just doing all the heavy lifting, and he is utterly fantastic. I hope he gets much better roles from now on.
Yeah, I really like him in these movies. He's a good actor.
Which, yeah, so far career wise, Adam Driver is doing okay. He's been Oscar nominated a few times, and he's got some stuff going here and there. And honestly, some of the other newer cast from these movies is doing okay too. John Boyega has some stuff here and there. He had that Pacific Rim sequel that I didn't see, but I heard wasn't great. And he was in last year's They Clone Tyrone, which is a pretty underrated movie and really interesting. Oscar Isaac, of course, is doing all sorts of stuff, whether it be Moon Knight or the possible Metal Gear Solid movie, among other things.
Yeah.
Daisy Ridley, not so much, but she's doing things. I haven't necessarily seen them, but she's doing things.
Yeah, I'm not for sure.
I like how that Luke admitted that he was wrong for the actions that he took prior to the sequel trilogy and all of that. I feel like that was one of the few retcons that this movie did concerning The Last Jedi that were good. Luke realizes that he was wrong, and he's doing his best to try to fix his mistakes.
Yeah, that is good. It makes him seem a little better.
There's another thing that I like, oddly enough, but we'll get to that at the end. But let's get into everything else, because oh, buddy.
All right, let's go. What's up first?
Okay, so somehow Palpatine returned. The fact that they felt the need to resurrect Palpatine is kind of ridiculous. Like I get it. You didn't have any plans for this one after you had to scrap Colin Trevorrow's movie after this other thing that he did got terrible reviews and bombed horribly at the box office. But you could have came up with something better than this.
Yeah, and it's just really disappointing that he comes back and the only explanation they give us is just, somehow he did it.
Yeah, we get Mary telling us that, Sith magic or whatever stuff that only the Sith know about, and it's like, sure, whatever, okay, but that doesn't explain anything.
Yeah, I did not notice any explanation about Palpatine. And
then there's Palpatine's plan. So he had to create a Force dyad between Rey and Kylo Ren so that they can bond through the Force. So, and then he tells Kylo Ren to kill Rey, even though he needs her alive. Knowing that he's gonna try to do it, even though he's probably not going to because of the Force dyad thing. And then he somehow knows that Rey is gonna make her way to him on Exegol, but he doesn't exactly lay a trail for her. She has to actually get help from Force Ghost Luke in order to get there. This is just too goofy and stupid. Let's move on.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I have no explanation for that.
Okay, so during for most other Star Wars movies, the score is pretty much the universally agreed on, good thing in these things. So what John Williams did this time, and I don't exactly blame him for this. The way I see it, he was probably under a lot of pressure from Mickey Mouse up there, his Disney overlords, to just get it done, just do it, just hop to it. So what we get instead of an original score with some real meat to it, some real emotional music, we just get basically a best of from the last 8 movies.
Yeah, which I mean is good music, but compared to the others, it is kind of missing its originality, I guess.
Yeah, it doesn't make much sense, and like you said, this is technically good music, but it's just too much sometimes. On several occasions, we get the Force theme playing like they're trying to make it the main theme of the series. No, we don't need to do that. Also, we hear Palpatine's theme several times when they're just talking about him. Like, I get the idea of leitmotifs and all that, but that's at a certain point it gets to be a bit much.
Yeah, it's a bit too much. It's a bit on the nose. They're just yeah. Yeah, I mean, who knows what John Williams was doing, but I mean, he could have been busy. He could not have enough time, but yeah, I do think this movie would have benefited with original music.
The one time where the score actually made me feel any sort of joy whatsoever, and granted, this is still from a recycled track, so does it really count? Was when Luke used the Force to lift his own X-Wing up from the waters on Ahch-To, which which mirrored how Yoda did the same thing with his X-wing in on Dagobah in Empire Strikes Back. That did give me a warm feeling.
Yeah, it was nice to hear that music again. Yeah, I think it fit the scene well. It was because I mean it's Luke doing it, so I guess it makes sense that that would play again. Plus, it's just nice to hear.
Okay. So they retconned a lot of stuff from the Last Jedi. Now you wouldn't think that I would have a problem with that, but here's the thing: if you're gonna commit to doing a thing, commit to doing a thing. Like, yeah, you got a lot of hate for it, but people, audiences would respect you more for actually sticking through to something instead of just pussying out in the last chapter.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like, you try to go with the point that Rey's parents are nobodies from nowhere, so that her lineage isn't actually anything special. That's not a bad idea. I like that from The Last Jedi. But here you go, oh no, she's actually a Palpatine. Like, dude.
Yeah, it just kind of takes every like that the I don't know, the lesson you learn of, it's okay if you come from nothing, like that stuff, and it just kind of erases it and is like, "Oh yeah, she is actually from a really powerful Sith bloodline."
And then there's what they did with Rose. Now, I don't like Rose's character in The Last Jedi. I feel like she was a nuisance. She was really cringe and just not necessary. However, I'm about to contradict what I literally just said, but I feel like she kind of got shafted in this one. She's barely there. She only has a few lines. Now, if they did that because they didn't really have a place for her character, but still wanted her to be in there, so people aren't asking, oh, where's Rose? Okay, fine, whatever. I mean, granted, this movie is stuffed enough as it is, so maybe they just didn't have a place for her. But if they're doing it because of the hate they got for her character in The Last Jedi, no, don't do that.
Yeah. She's barely in it at all. Has just some speaking lines that you could tell they just needed someone to say it, so they're like, "Oh, we'll just do Rose. She hasn't talked in a while."
Then there's the fake out with Chewie, quote unquote, dying. Okay, who above the age of 10 thought that they were actually going to kill Chewie off like this?
Not me.
Not me.
I knew. I mean, we don't see him get on that ship, so I mean, I knew that there was no way that he was on that.
And then they just reveal that he's alive, like not even 5 minutes later, and which brings up another thing. So as soon as Rey got closer to the ship where Chewie was taken, she was able to sense that he was alive. But why couldn't she do that while they were still on the same planet earlier, on Tatooine number 4?
I don't know, man. I don't make the rules.
And then there's the Force lightning she does, where she thinks she killed Chewie. Okay, that's not how this works. You have to actually, Force lightning is not a genetic thing. It's not like passed down from her Sith grandfather. It's just it's a technique that you got to learn how to do. Same as any Force technique, really.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. It's a technique you just learn how to do, but I always just thought it's because she's so powerful. She just kind of can do that.
That's not how that works.
All right. I don't know.
Okay, next. 3PO can't translate Sith because he's not allowed to by galactic law. Who would program that into a droid? What situation would that come where that would be a thing to think about?
Well, Anakin made him, and maybe Anakin really hated the Sith back then. And was like, you are not going to speak a word of Sith.
I'm going to skip over that. Okay, so the Knights of Ren, Kylo's quote-unquote, henchmen, we don't really get anything of them. Like we see Kylo Ren fight them at the end, but they don't really get to do much. They aren't very effective. They're not really too interesting as characters. They're not even characters, really. The Praetorian Guard, that Snowcat in The Last Jedi, were more characters than these guys were. And yeah.
Yeah, I agree. They're not. Wouldn't really classify them as characters. They're just kind of there.
You can get the same output out of them if you replace them with cactus, if I'm being completely honest.
Mm-hmm. All right. Yeah, you're probably right.
Okay. I feel like there's some missed potential with Rey, quote unquote, being on the dark side. I feel like they could have shown her using the dark side throughout the movie. Maybe some stuff here and there to maybe get by some sort of obstacle or to deal with something easier. And obviously, Poe and Finn wouldn't know much about the Force, so they're just fine with her getting stuff done for them. But as soon as she kills what she thinks is Chewie, she could have a moment where she's like, "Oh, yeah, no, the dark side isn't good. It is the quicker and easier path, but it's not necessarily the right one." If they did something like that throughout the movie, it could have been interesting.
Yeah, that could have been interesting.
This Sith dagger that they use in this movie to find where the next Wayfinder is kind of weird. First off, so there's the instructions to find the Wayfinder printed on this dagger. That's pretty weird on its own, but it gets weirder. Don't worry. So the basically the dagger itself, if you line it up with a rock formation on another moon around Endor, it perfectly lines up to where the Wayfinder will be in the Death Star. Now, hold on. How on earth did anyone know that the Death Star was going to fall in the right place behind this rock formation in order to get to the Wayfinder? How did anyone know it was going to do that? How? That doesn't make any sense at all.
Dude, I don't know. I thought they made it after it was already there.
Well, no, because Palpatine sent the guy to get Rey, and he had to be alive to do that.
Well, I guess that's true, yeah.
It's just too ridiculous to really take seriously, and I'm not really sure what's going on here. Also, not necessarily a criticism of the movie, just a funny observation, but Rey says that this dagger has killed people while she's holding the Youngling Slayer 5000.
Yeah, I don't... Yeah, she doesn't really say anything about the lightsaber, killing innocent children.
But then again, maybe she doesn't necessarily know about Anakin's crimes.
Maybe.
So, again, not necessarily a criticism of the movie, just a funny little observation.
Yeah.
We already went over Hux. Once again, his actor is tremendously wasted in this movie. He's a very talented actor. I like his work, but he's not given much to do with his character, which is unfortunate.
Yeah, it is unfortunate, because I do like him as an actor.
Again, Jana was also wasted, like Poe was. Not Poe, Finn. They wasted Poe too. They didn't do much with his character that they could have been.
There's a lot of wasting with characters around this movie.
This movie, the last one, the first one, they're all setting up so many questions that don't have answers. Like, we never get an answer to how Maz got Luke's lightsaber in the first place. That's a little silly.
Yeah, we never learned that.
Yeah, we went over the pacing. It's not great. This movie feels way too long.
It does. It drags. We had to split it up into 2 nights. That's how long it felt.
Which, I mean, we didn't do that because it's actually a long. We did that because, bro, we were getting tired.
Yeah, it's not the best movie. It's hard to get through in one setting.
And this movie is not even 2.5 hours long. I'm the guy who thinks that the Snyder Cut could have been longer, and just these last 2 movies, I can't do it, man.
Yeah, it's hard.
So I got a few questions about about Rey and Kylo Ren, or Ben, I should say at this point, using older ships. Now, these ships have been sitting around for God knows how long, and with Ben's, he's stealing a TIE fighter that was presumably in the Death Star that crashed on the planet. How is that thing still working? How does that TIE fighter work still?
Man, I don't know.
And Rey using Luke's X-Wing that was underwater for God knows how long. How is that still working?
Yeah, that did get me. I was like, who knows how long that's been under the water? Surely it can't be working.
Now, you could probably make the same argument for why is that X-Wing still working in Empire Strikes Back? Well, to be fair, that hadn't been underwater as long as this one had.
Yeah. That we know of, which I'm pretty sure this X-Wing hadn't been under the water for like 2 days or whatever.
Now, maybe the answer is simple in that these ships are just, they're waterproof, which, fine, sure, whatever. I can believe that. It's plausible enough. But what about the X-Wing? Why is there any sort of working X-Wings on the Death Star? Now, if I'm wrong about this, I'm wrong about that, and that's how it is. But where else would Ben have gotten that X-Wing? Not X-Wing, TIE Fighter.
I don't know.
I don't know. It's all sorts of weird plot contrivances that get them to where they need to go. It's whatever.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, I don't really care.
So the First Order, we hear about them we first meet them in The Force Awakens, right? And they just seem like it's some sort of generic empire. Okay, so what exactly is their power? How strong are they? How far does their reach extend? We don't know. We don't know much about them. We don't know how they came to power. We don't know what kind of power they have. We don't know how big their empire is. We just know that they're the First Order. That's it.
Yeah, I haven't really thought about that, but it does. I mean, yeah, we don't really know anything about them. About what they rule over and how they came to power. So I mean, I don't know.
Granted, we're not gonna. I don't expect to hear a long backstory about how they came to be. Same as with the Empire in the original, but with the Empire in the original, we got some small little hints here and there, just like world building things that let us know that there is a larger empire out there, and we see them. We see patrols on Tatooine. We see all sorts. We get hints of what's going on behind the scenes, but it's not necessarily for us to actually see everything. This trilogy fails at even the most basic amounts of world building. We never get a sense that there's anything going on outside of what we see.
Yeah. There's not a lot. Barely anything.
We're just expected to, trust them that this is what's going on a whole bunch of other worlds, but I don't believe that.
Yeah, it is hard to believe.
And the last one. So there's some sort of mess made about how this Star Wars movie was going to be the first to have a quote-unquote gay character. And we do get a quick scene of these two women kissing. That's about it.
Yeah, it's like, why even have that in there? If you're going to have a gay character, make her gay.
I'm not expecting her to be, eating pussy halfway through the movie. But if you're going to make some sort of mess about how you have the first gay character in Star Wars, don't just have it be like a walk-on thing where they're kissing because they are alive that you can easily cut out for the Chinese audience. Don't do that. Actually commit to the thing.
Yeah, that's like barely any representation. It feels like more they put it in there because they had to, because they wanted to.
They put it in there to score brownie points with Twitter users, but
yeah, it just doesn't seem like very good representation.
No, it's not at all. Okay, and there's plenty of good gay representation out there. I'm not going to list that right now because
we'll get off topic.
Yeah, but I mean that's what we do on this show.
That's true. Yeah, but this was definitely not one of those good examples.
Actually, now that I think about it, an example of pretty good gay representation came back in the 90s.
What?
Well, the characters of Gus and Wally from Mission Hill.
Oh, I've only seen like one episode, and you showed me it. So
Okay, so basically, Gus and Wally are this old married gay couple. Wally was a director in Hollywood, and he was making movies, and he fell in love with Gus, and he wanted to put him in his movies, but this caused all the executives to pull money and all the stars to pull out. So basically, what they made was basically Plan 9 from Outer Space. Nowadays, Gus runs his diner, and Wally is a projectionist at a movie theater. And they're characters before that just happen to be gay. You know what I mean?
yeah, they're not put there because the companies think it would be good. They're not because this character in Star Wars, other than that one kiss, we would never have known she was gay.
And she's hardly a character anyways. We see her a few times in this and The Last Jedi, but I can't, for the life of me, name any sort of traits about her except the fact that she has a really pointy nose.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's just a physical trait.
Yeah. But point is, Gus and Wally, pretty good representation. Actually, the show Mission Hill got an award from GLAAD for for these two characters being good representation.
Very interesting.
Anyways, let's get back to this nonsense. There's one last thing I want to talk about concerning, these notes I've taken. At the end of the movie, Rey says, this old lady on Tatooine asks Rey who she is, and Rey says, she's Rey. The old lady asks her, Rey who? And she says, Rey Skywalker. Actually, I kind of like this.
It's all right.
Well, to me, it's sort of like Rey's actually figuring out who she is. She's not letting herself be defined by Palpatine's legacy, and the fact that, Luke and Leia consider her family already. I'm fine with it.
Yeah, I'm fine with it too. Plus, it keeps the Skywalker name alive.
Yeah, it does that. Plus, it's the whole found family versus actual family thing that a lot of things are doing these days. But I'm not sick of it yet.
Yeah.
So, if you couldn't tell, I don't like this movie.
I can tell.
I feel like it is the absolute worst Star Wars movie, and that is including the Clone Wars animated movie that was basically just a couple of episodes stitched together.
Okay. I haven't seen that one.
Jeez. It is a whole bunch of silliness, and by the time we do the rest of the Star Wars movies, which is 5.
Oh boy, still got a lot to do.
Yeah, it's okay. Well, we might do something else in between then and here and then.
Yeah, take a little break from Star Wars.
We still got that Planet of the Apes trilogy to release.
Yeah.
Plus, probably going to go see The Fall Guy.
At some point.
And the new Planet of the Apes movie.
Mm-hmm.
So, in between here and then, we're probably going to take a little bit of a break from Star Wars because, bro, we need it.
Yeah, after this, we need it.
Okay. Okay, so you want to know something funny?
Sure.
This was not the first time that Palpatine came back in a cloned body.
Okay.
And led a massive fleet of Star Destroyers.
What's the first time?
It was in this. It was in the old expanded universe, Dark Empire, where the same basic thing happened. In it, Luke also turns to the dark side and joined Palpatine. I don't know the circumstances, but he came back, so it worked out in the end.
Okay, what was that, like a comic or something?
A comic or a novel, I don't know.
All right.
This was also the first Star Wars movie where Carrie Fisher was first billed.
Oh. Yeah, first build. For some reason, I was picturing her getting a bill in the mail, and I was like, huh?
Yeah, she got the first bit of mail for this movie out of all the cast members.
Yeah.
So John Boyega and Oscar Isaac of course, came out against this movie. They did not like what was done with their characters, and Oscar Isaac said that he felt like his character's personality and role shifted with every movie, and he doesn't have any real interest in doing it unless he really needs the money.
Yeah, I understand that.
Never mind. Turns out he changed his mind. He's open to doing it again.
All right, fair enough.
Okay. I mean, can't blame him. The money is good, I guess.
Yeah, the money's also it's gonna help you make that decision.
Heck, I'd sell out artistically for a few $100,000 too. I need the money.
Me too.
Yeah, John Boyega was very honest about how he felt about how Finn's role was reduced. And some of his co-stars, including Daisy Ridley, support his criticisms, which, yeah, I do too.
Yeah, I understand that for sure.
Poor guy was propped up as the next star of Star Wars and all the marketing for The Force Awakens, only to get thrown away like a dirty pair of underwear.
Yeah, he definitely went from having a good start to having his character barely do anything.
And I don't want to harp on it too much more, but yeah, just Migs Mayfield, better ex-Stormtrooper representation, better story arc, better character, more interesting character in general, which this is not John Boyega's fault. He did fine with the work he was given. Honestly, none of the performances in these movies are bad. That's another good thing I could say about all of them.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, now, originally the director's movie was Colin Trevorrow, the director of Jurassic World. He got taken off once some other stuff happened. One of his movies bombed hard, so this movie was supposed to be really different, and that's not even getting into Carrie Fisher's death between movies.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, let's see. Okay, so yeah, a lot of things were different, and okay. Originally, Leia was supposed to be the titular Last Jedi of the movie before this, but Carrie Fisher's death ended those plans, unfortunately.
Yeah, unfortunately.
They were going to use unseen footage of her from The Last Jedi as well, but they wouldn't contribute to the movie.
Yeah. That's unfortunate.
Alan Dean Foster, who wrote several Star Wars Legend novels along with the novelizations of A New Hope and The Force Awakens, hated The Last Jedi to the point where he wrote his own story outline for Episode 9. The story treatment would undo and retcon many elements of The Last Jedi, such as revealing Rey's affinity with the Force came from her being part droid. What?
That sounds weird.
Okay, maybe... Okay, I don't want to say it. Maybe we lucked out, but... Also, Luke Skywalker wouldn't have actually died.
Okay.
Yeah. He couldn't finish the script in time for Disney to consider using it, though. Just going off of those, I don't care for that.
Yeah, that doesn't sound like something I would like.
Concept art reveals several other things, such as at one point Poe was supposedly going to be executed via a lightsaber guillotine, and also General Hux committing seppuku with a lightsaber.
Huh. Seems a little violent.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess, I don't know.
Rey and Rose were also supposed to share some scenes together, but that didn't end up happening.
No, it did not.
Hux and Pride were supposed to appear much earlier in the movie. At one point, they were going to accompany Kylo Ren to Mustafar to find the Wayfinder. Okay, that's kind of neat. I didn't recognize Mustafar without all the lava.
Yeah, it is hard to notice whenever it's not covered in lava.
By the time Force Awakens was finished, they didn't actually determine Rey's heritage.
Oh.
Some of J.J. Abrams' original ideas were that she was connected to either Obi-Wan or Palpatine, until Rian Johnson decided to make her a nobody in The Last Jedi.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay, whatever. Which is one of the few things that Rian Johnson did that I actually agree with.
Yeah, very few things.
At one point, Judi Dench and Matt Smith were also considered for roles in this movie.
All right, that would be interesting, maybe.
Now, what they were, who knows?
Yeah, I don't really care at this point.
Okay, so ends the Skywalker saga of Star Wars. Supposedly, they're gonna be back. You know it.
Most likely.
So, I bet it's safe to say that your Star Wars rankings that we did a little while ago are basically the same.
Oh, probably.
Yeah, Empire at the very top and Rise of Skywalker down below.
Yep, that sounds about right.
Only things that changed for me is that Return of the Jedi would definitely be higher, and Attack of the Clones stays the same place where it was at the second to last, but I like it a little bit more than I used to. Just a little bit.
That's all right, yeah.
Yeah, that John Williams music really carries it.
It does.
So that'll have to do it for this. This video is going to be long as heck. I already know it.
Yeah. You had a lot to rant about.
Yeah, I did. And I said I wasn't going to be as mad as I was in The Last Jedi. Was that a lie?
I don't think you got quite as mad.
No, I just got a little bit mad.
You still talked a lot, though.
Yeah. Well, we'll catch you next time.
See you next time.